Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome for visiting the lecture today. Everyone, to those who have entered the room, we're about to begin, so please have a seat and make yourself comfortable. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Honorable Dr. Alireza Mohammadi as a senior lecturer, City Graduate School, PhD in Business Economy from City University, Malaysia, and also our participant today. Today's session, we also being live stream on University STEKOM YouTube channel. And is it indeed a pleasure to have all of you on this memorable occasion? I would like to thank God for getting us here in a visiting lecture program regarding business research methodology, critical thinking, and problem identification. Before we begin, please allow me to read our schedule this afternoon. First, there will be start class presentation by Mr. Alireza, and continue with the Q&A session, theme for picture and closing. Okay, we will start for this class today, delivered by Dr. Alireza. The time is yours. Thank you.
Hi and good afternoon, everyone. Am I audible?
Yes.
Hello. All right, good. Allow me to share my screen before I begin. Okay, can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Thanks for the feedback, Novita. All right, very happy to be with all of you today. My name is Dr. Alireza. Today, I will be having a sharing session. I will talk to you about business research methodology, critical thinking, and problem identification. Many of you might be in the level of your bachelor studies, or you might be lecturers pursuing further studies, or you might be, for those of you who are watching in YouTube now or later, you might be preparing for your master's or your PhD thesis. I'm hoping that the content I'm sharing with you today will give you some insights about business research methodology and the ability to do critical thinking. A little bit of introduction about me. Who am I? If you're interested to know more than what you see on the slide, just search my name with City University or also University Putra Malaysia, where I studied my PhD. You will have access to my research records and to my profile and maybe social media gears. I completed my PhD in business economics from University Putra Malaysia, and I also hold an MBA from Multimedia University Malaysia. My background, my bachelor is industrial engineering in engineering management, Islamic Azad University. I have various experience in industry and academic. In industry, I've been a trade advisor. I've been working with distinguished companies, especially in collaboration between Middle East and Southeast Asia and China. In my academic career, I've been a lecturer, tutor, lecturer, senior lecturer later on. The main area of my research interest is social media marketing, online engagement solutions, market survey research, brand loyalty, and brand studies, and also cryptocurrency. I lectured undergrad students, mainly in business management, in marketing management, and I've also lectured MBA, Master of Business Administration, Master of Science Business Administration, Doctor of Business Administration, and also PhD in Business Administration classes. I also supervise PhD students and led research groups. You can check my profile in the links provided here. Let's get into the topic today. I receive these sort of questions from students. Sir, can you suggest a topic? I don't know where to begin. Or it's very difficult to come up with a topic. If you give us the topic, then we know how to process. How can I prove my research is important? Why must I follow research format and article structures? What is critical thinking? How do I help me and my studies? how does it help me and my studies? Well, today I will go through these questions and I try to answer them in a sweet and simple way as much as possible. The outline for the talk today is going through what's business research. We will have an activity where there's a question to discuss related to the topic of the session. Critical thinking, where does a research begin? Problem statement and gap identification. Role of critical thinking, developing critical thinking skills. I will introduce some useful tools, a quick recap and summary of the day. And if we have more time, we will go through another activity, activity 2. The key learning outcomes for today, I am hoping by the end of today, you are able to define business research, identify a research problem, associate problem with gaps, define critical thinking, use critical thinking to identify a problem and connect it to gaps. But what is a research? Have you thought, or you hear it a lot on news here, there, in school, from Malaysia? What is a research? To answer that, let us a little bit go deeper into understanding of conventional subjects, courses, and research subjects. In conventional subjects, you usually go to the class, you listen, you well behave, you learn the theories, you go through case studies, you answer them or practice them in class with your classmates, you do a presentation, you get your mark, bye-bye. In research studies, the approach is in research classes, the approach is different. You sit there to learn how to scientifically define a problem, to create risk-calculated and informed solutions to that problem, to, as a result, to come up and to compose an article that benefits other researchers, managers, and individuals related to that topic, related to the problem. So in very short, in a research class, you create, you compose, you write about the problem and its solution. No one is going to ask you, define a problem statement. You will be asked to write a problem statement or to write a proposal, not to define what's a proposal. So the approach is quite different. And once you get it, you are good to go about research. In that way, we can define business research as a systematic and organized effort to investigate and find a solution to a specific problem. There are some keywords here, please highlight. Systematic means you need to have a systematic, planned approach to that problem, and organized to a specific problem. They should not be broad. Don't try to make it look complicated or add spice from every other context around. Try to make it as simple as possible, that if you can, you explain the problem to a kid. So if the kid understands, it means everyone else. That simple, you need to make it. All right, is everyone clear so far? Any questions? Are we all good? All right, I can see head nods. If you have any questions, take note. We will discuss them at the end of the session, but every now and then I'll check with you. Here we have an activity. Please answer instantly. In context of negotiation, imagine you're negotiating with someone. Faced with a difficult opponent, is it better to concede something of little value in order to create goodwill? Do you think it's true or false? Everyone can post in the chat box. If you can come up with a good justification also would be a plus. Kyla, thank you. The rest of you, 19 people in this class, and those of you in the YouTube and other live platforms. Novita, you can answer too. True, huh? True. Okay. Anyone here who says this is false? Interesting. So everyone agrees it's true. So if you are faced with a difficult opponent, it's better to concede something of little value in order to create goodwill. If you say it's true, don't get disappointed, but you are wrong, and that's okay. That's totally okay, because I'm hoping when you get a hold of critical thinking skills, you will know why. Let me explain further. Faced with a difficult opponent, if we are negotiating, are we negotiating with an opponent? We do negotiate with partners, not with opponents. When we say negotiation is not based on who wins, so no opponents but partners. When we say it's better than what? We should ask these questions when we see a bold general question like that. We should ask ourselves, better than what? Concede? As a negotiator, should we concede or should we trade? For the thing that we concede, we should get something in return. So we make it a trade. The next thing here, let me go back to the statement. Something of little value. Little value to who? Maybe the person who is trading with you, that thing is of very big value to him, but small value to you. So we would want to trade as much as possible rather than conceding. And goodwill, if you do things out of goodwill in a negotiation, wouldn't it lead to expectation for future trades? Maybe, maybe not. So that's the topic of discussion for this activity. It's false. We don't concede, we trade in negotiation, all right? What I did right now for you is a critical thinking approach to a very simple general activity or question. Okay, now I will explain more details. So when faced in different situations, you can approach it differently and see what's beyond the topic. Let me speed up a little bit. So critical thinking is the ability to question and analyze, is the ability to interpret and evaluate, make a judgment about what you read, what you hear, and say or write. Critical thinking is the ability to think clearly and to rationally understanding the logical connection between ideas. It's about being open-minded, objective, and analytical when evaluating information and arguments. What you want to do in different situation arguments, you want to gather as much as reliable information as possible. You don't want to assume, you don't want to imagine or think on behalf of other people when you are conducting, especially if it comes to conducting a research. Everything must be based on concrete evidence. That's why in the definition, it was a systematic, organized, scientific business research is a systematic, organized investigation based on valid and concrete evidence. Ask objective questions. When you are going through things that you don't know, or you are gathering information about it, ask yourself objective. Always ask this question first. Why? Why are, for example, about this activity, why is he asking this question? Or in what context is it? How is it related to me? How is it related to the class? Why is my research important? What is the contribution of my research? Who benefits from the results of my research? All of these questions, to you as the researcher, you should have a valid and concrete answer to them. How do I organize my readings? How do I determine and find the most relevant articles? What happens when you read and review 1,000+ articles? Ask yourself these questions so in advance you think of, you plan properly before you step into a topic. One of our key learning outcomes for today, where does a research begin? I make it easy for you by giving you the answer. It all starts with a problem. No problem, no study. No problem, no research. You need to identify a problem. And this problem does not have to be so big or has to be very critical, world-saving, world problem that will have a saving the world solution to it. No. As long as it can add value to the body of knowledge, we would consider it as a problem. But how significant it's going to contribute to the body of knowledge, that's the point we need to investigate. How do you identify the problem? At first, by reading in the most recent reports, magazines, and papers. You want to see what's hot topic out there, what research topics are alive and dynamic. Talking to those dealing with that problem, interviewing experts. You need extensive reading and summarize, organize, and to have summarizing and organizing skills. Because it all goes back when you have a lot of information, it's easy to get lost. You need to have a way to extract meaningful information from the data you gather. You don't know what you don't know, so try to read as much as possible, but at the same time have boundaries. If you're reading about marketing, stick to marketing. If you're reading about green technology, sustainability, read in that boundary. Don't read sustainability and then connect it to employee performance and then connect it to financial efficiency. You would go through a never-ending loop and circle. You should know more than everyone in the room. If you don't, then start asking questions. These questions could be pointed to you, to your supervisor, to your lecturer, or mostly to you, because you want to find out, why am I doing this? What is the purpose of this study? And so on. The next important topic we discussed today is identifying and communicating the problem. When you are writing a proposal, imagine you are preparing if you're bachelor students, your final year project. You need to write a problem statement, which at first your examiners will communicate with it by reading. Imagine you're not there to explain, so your write-up must be very clear. How? Only having a good writing knowledge is enough? No. So how should you do it? Let me first share with you some interesting topics in area of business, if you're all from business background. Like when we talk about marketing, purchase behavior, purchase intention, repurchase, sales volume, sales efficiency, and as such. When we talk about organizational behavior, organizational performance, turnover intention, performance efficiency, more on branding, brand loyalty, brand awareness, brand image, digital transformation, digitization, digital well-being, and so on. These are like popular topics in business where you can use these keywords and get into like more extensive areas of research. When you are preparing your problem statement and you translate it into I am writing and my examiners are reading, I want to make it very clear because I'm not there to explain. They should get everything from my script, right? Start off a problem statement by identifying gaps. What do I mean by that? Gaps, the issues. The problem you are talking about, 100% there are people dealing with in real life. Could be people, could be communities, for example, could be buyers. These buyers could be a special community, like in food and beverage or in printing industry. They could be in hotel industry. So there are people and communities dealing with this problem. Write about. Highlight clearly this problem is causing hardship to which communities? Who is dealing with this problem? Support it with infographics, statistics, numbers, tables, but all has to be reliable and official. One quick tip, in every country there is a website, National Bureau of Statistics, for example, National Bureau of Statistics, Malaysia, National Bureau of Statistics, Indonesia. Refer to their website, they have some statistics which will help you and it's official. Number two, the gap in industry or in market. What does it mean? You need to write about the industries or the markets who are dealing with this problem. This problem is causing slowdown, difficulty, hinders in these markets. If you want to make your supervisor, your lecturer, and everyone in between happy, give some numbers related to money. Everyone understands money when we talk about business. You can talk about how much monetarily, financially it's affecting that industry, and maybe at the end affecting the country. Everyone loves to read about how much. So your research at the end can contribute to save some of these resources. That's gap number two, record this. Number three, the gap in existing literature. Sorry. If you're from for example, background of, let's say, construction. If you have very in-depth skill and experience background in construction industry, is your skill enough and adequate to conduct a research? It is not. Even if you are the best, if you're the number one, you still need to refer to the existing studies because you want to connect your skills with the existing research in that area, like conducted and published studies in that area. So where do you get the gap in the existing literature? You want to refer to the limitations of previous studies and demonstrate a dynamic and live research area. So everyone clear about problem statement and how we write and define a problem in business? I hope so. Let us continue. At the end, we will see if there are questions coming in. What is the role of critical thinking in this business research area? I would say the main role of it would be to help you navigate through complexities. You want to break down topics and problems into smaller ones where you can resolve those smaller ones and contribute to resolving that big problem. I received proposals about for example, study about hotel industry to improve economy in, for example, Sri Lanka. This is a very general and huge topic, economy of a country. You want to break it down to a very specific area of economy maybe, but not the country's economy. So you want to break critical thinking, asking those questions to eliminate assumptions and biases will help you as the researcher to navigate through complexity. Ask objective questions to clarify and make calculated assumptions. Evaluate evidences with other information and evidence you have in hand. Here you can also consider the significant role of sources of information, where it should be reliable, valid, and from official mainstreams. Another role of critical thinking is to help you network with people from diverse backgrounds. Through your communications, asking questions, you get to know people. If you ask the right questions, usually people will call you as a good, curious person. But it's important to ask the right questions and to avoid asking redundant or repeated questions. When you ask questions, the answers you receive, you want to record them and you don't want to go through it again and again. So report tracking skills is important. At the end, I will introduce some tools that will help you do that and make the role of critical thinking would be to help you make informed decisions based on the evidence you have in hand. How can you develop critical thinking? There are, of course, many ways to do that, but first and foremost would be to questioning assumptions. As much as possible, you want to replace assumptions with valid and reliable, informed decisions, or informed options, I think would be a better option. So you want to understand the details as much as possible to identify the biases. It's important to know what you know, but at the same time, it's important to know what you don't know. And that would be achievable by asking the right questions. Think objectively, always ask these kind of questions to yourself. Why, how, what if I don't conduct this study? Yeah. What if the finding of this study is insignificant? And as such, perspective diversity. Try to engage with different people from different backgrounds. Always welcome people from different education background, different work background, and so on, especially when it comes to professional experience and skills. Organize and evaluate different solutions. Try to see and compare the role of comparison, the pros and cons of different options you have on the table. Analyze your readings, fuel your curiosity, attend sharing sessions, talks, conferences, etc. to make the less biased and highest informed decision. Here are some useful tools I encountered when I am going through business research. I'm sharing with you softwares such as Mendeley, which is you should be familiar with it. It's a PDF reader tool, but with a lot of features that will help you take notes on your PDF files, but most importantly, it will help you organize your citations and references. The thing that would take students 15 years ago, like months to complete, you can complete it within a couple of clicks via Mendeley. Zotero, which is a software for reference and citations. EndNote is very similar to Mendeley, but it's a paid program. Mendeley is free version. You can do your search about these tools and softwares. Services such as Google Sheets, Google Keep, Jamboard, especially when you are writing about the problem, you want to have everything on a Jamboard. Brainstorm, maybe with your classmates, with your supervisor. The variables you find in research, try to put them on a paper, draw a reasonable link and connection between them, and so on. And most importantly, you need reliable area or reliable information sources, such as online libraries, university online libraries, or databases such as ProQuest, where you can access millions of scholarly articles and published thesis, master's, DBA, PhD, and so on in different fields. And other databases such as Elsevier, Science Direct, Springer, Emerald, and Google Scholar. I'm not going into more details about this, but I'm going to keep it in case anyone is having questions. So to recap about what we talked today, break a problem down into the gaps, the 3 gaps we discussed. Gap in practice, gap in industry or market, and gap in literature. They also call it as gap in research, gap in knowledge. What other names they call it? Gap in knowledge, I said it, yeah. And as such. Break it into the gaps, explain it to a kid. If the kid gets it, others will too. Ask the right questions and keep track of the answers. Identify reliable sources of information. Find valid support for gaps, statistics, and numbers are best supportive data, like infographics, tables. Nobody can argue with numbers, and usually tables and infographics are an easy and convenient way for your audience, for your lecturers, for your supervisors, for your examiners. It's an easy way to communicate an issue. It's very interesting for me to know what are your key learning outcomes and points from the session today. If you please post in the chat box or post in the comment section later, so others can benefit from it too. And also, if you have any suggestions or anything you want to add to the topic I talked about today, feel free to add on. Before I proceed to activity 2, let me open panel if there are questions. And then at the end, if we have time, we do the activity 2 as well. Hopefully this time everyone gets it right. Novita, back to you. Any questions?
Yes, we have 3 questions from students.
Let me have a look.
Yes. For first question, this question from Miss Kayla. I will write again in the chat. You see it?
Okay. Kyla, thank you very much for the question. This requires another session to go through, another 1-hour session, but I try to answer in the shortest way possible, and I have to make assumptions. I'm not approaching it with critical thinking skills. She is asking, Kyla is a girl, right? Okay, Kyla, all right. In the context of contemporary business dynamics and the evolving landscape, how can business researchers effectively navigate the complexity of problem identification, ensuring their critical thinking process remain adaptive and relevant to address emerging challenges. Okay. Can you provide example for recent research on industry trends that highlight the need of such adaptability and the impact it can have on strategic decision? All right, part one. I'm hoping by now you all can answer it. How do we navigate through complexity? By one, avoiding assumptions. Two, designing and asking the right and objective questions. And three, through the questions, breaking that big problem with the critical thinking skills, breaking it into smaller problems. And then attack those small problems, right? That's part one. Number two, can you provide examples of recent research on industry trends and highlight the need for such adaptability and the impact it can have on strategic decision making? Well, did I get your question right? You mean the most recent hot topics in business research? Is that your question? Research recent industry trends highlight the need for such adaptability. Let me answer it to the best of my understanding about your question, Kyla. Let me see, there are more questions, or is there someone explaining something? All right. I think the best example here could be, we all can see it, refer to 40, 50 years ago research, look at the way they look at, they approach problems and the recent ones. We can see that different topics are emerging. For example, blockchain is emerging with health sciences, or security is emerging with cloud computing. Blockchain technology is connecting to technology adoption research topics. So these emerging things are all causing extra complexity, which require critical thinking skills to break them down into smaller, like for example, if you say the impact of cloud computing adoption in medical science, you want to break it down into a specific medical science area. Or you want to break that cloud computing into a smaller, is it its security? Is it its adaptability? Is it its training and technicality? You want to see that the role of training in cloud computing adoption for example, medical centers in Indonesia in a specific province, maybe. I hope that answered your question, Kyla. Let me proceed to the next question, Novita. How can business researchers effectively integrate interdisciplinary perspective and methodologies into the process of critical thinking and problem identification? And what are the potential pitfalls or challenges they may encounter when doing so? Can you share an example of research disciplinary? This is very similar to the previous question, I believe. Novita, again, the goal is to break it down, avoid assumption, and what's the word for it? And judge based on concrete facts, not facts. I am February. Hello, hi, February. I have a thought-provoking question for you. Go on, ask me all the hard questions. I will find your lecture and I will ask them to do a very difficult example. Exam for you. In business research, can you provide a concrete example where the process of critical thinking and problem identification led to a groundbreaking solution or innovation in an organization? And how did this process influence the overall success of the business? There are, thank you, very good question. Very good question. Thinking about it, February, I think one of the most vivid examples about how critical thinking came to a big breakthrough recently was AI. It's been years and years that people have been going through search skills, reading articles and everything. But then the question of what if people asked and received an answer? What if people communicated with a machine like a person, like a third person? All of these what ifs and hows ending up in bright minds of our century to design and implement AI, many different AI languages in recent years. I'm sure most of you are familiar with ChatGPT and as such. I hope that answered your question, Febi. That's just one example. There are so many other examples like, what else can we talk about? The advances in blockchain technology, in biotechnologies. You know, what if we could create this? How would it affect people who are dealing with this problem? I think this is a repeated question, Novita, from Kyla, and all right. Is that it? Any other questions? We have another 5 minutes. Let us go through the next activity. Let's see if this time everyone gets it right, okay? This one has 2 parts. Answer this question. I have a lot of experience of negotiation. Is this true, false, or not sure? And number 2, a negotiator is only interested in winning. Is this true, false, not sure? Please answer like 1A, 2A, something like, or 1B, 2A. I'm gonna give you a couple of minutes to think about it. Don't overthink it. Simplify it. Waiting for more answers. Only Novita so far, right? Febi, Kyla, those who are asking difficult questions. Okay. Hmm. Antonio, thank you. All right. How many students do we have in this session? 37. I'm hoping at least we receive like more than half. Thank you, Kayla. Should I give the answers? Okay, let me discuss this. More than this would be overthinking. So let us go through it again. Question number 1. I have a lot of experience of negotiation. Is it true? Correct. It's true. If you look at it, we as human, we are constantly negotiating. So we are experienced in negotiation. If you look at it from when a baby is 1 minute old, negotiating for milk, cries loud, so wins all the arguments, all the negotiations. As a kid, until we reach our last days, we are constantly negotiating. So we are all experienced. Those who said false for number 1, I don't blame you because you might have overthink it as or confused it as being expert or professional in a negotiation. So false, no. And not sure. Not sure is an acceptable answer to this because if you're aware enough to be unsure of your negotiation experience, so you probably should try harder to understand what you do without thinking. And yeah, it would be I think this is by far the wrongest answer to this question. Not sure. No, we are always negotiating. Question number 2. A negotiator is only interested in winning. Is it true? No, it's not true because as a negotiator, it's not a good idea to be interested only in winning. In a negotiation, you must understand your benefit and the partner's benefit so you can meet halfway. If you want to win it all, you can go once, twice, 3 times, and then at the end you will lose that partner. So true? No. Is it false? Yes. You don't want to win. You want to come to a successful result for both parties. And not sure also is not an acceptable answer to this. Not sure is a very political answer, a typical of it all depends. School of careful plodders, and but on this occasion, it's not quite right. So yeah, that's, but if you compare with the activity number 1, I can see that many of you got it right this time. You would have gotten it, maybe more of you would have got it right if you asked questions like about the first one. If you would ask me, I have a lot of experience. What do you mean by experience? Is it success negotiations or is it just negotiation? That would clearly put A as correct answer. And for number 2, you could have asked maybe, who is the person I'm negotiating? What's the topic of negotiating? Or sometimes you really want to win, but in order to win, you need to have the other party as a winner too. All right, thank you very much. I would like to close this session now. It is my pleasure to be with you, and back to Novita.
Thank you so much for Dr. Alireza for the wonderful information and sharing your knowledge. Okay, before I close this event, please, we will go to the next session for time documentation. For everyone, for all participants, please open your camera. I will take a picture on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, another 1, 1, 2, 3. Smile. Thank you for your keen cooperation. Finally, we come to the end of visiting lecture today. We would like to say thanks Dr. Alireza Mohammadi for the wonderful information and sharing your knowledge. We hope this information will be beneficial for our participants, and thank you for our audience until joining until last session. At last, we hope to have more collaboration in the future with City University Malaysia. I hope this event is very clearly. Thank you and have a nice day for everyone. Goodbye. Thank you so much for Dr. Alireza.
Thank you, Novita, and thank you, everyone. Feel free to connect with me on my social media handle Gears. And if you have business ideas, reach out to me. Would be glad to be in touch with all of you. Bye-bye.
Bagi para peserta yang belum absen, silakan absen terlebih dahulu.